Let's start the video. And I'm gonna stick with my wild hair because why not? Hey guys, the appearance of Aqara thread sensors wasn't exactly a surprise because all the big players in a smart home world are moving slowly to Matter and Thread, and they release Matter compatible or Thread compatible devices, and Aqara a couple of weeks ago has released theirs. What was surprising about it, however, was that the fact that they released two sensors, but they didn't really have any hubs to pair it to in their own ecosystem, which means that I had to use Alexa instead. But now we are here with this. This is Aqara M3 Hub, and I've been playing with it for some time. And there's a couple of interesting features on this hub, so I'm going to share everything that you need to know about this hub in order to get started. First of all, do not panic. If you already have Aqara ecosystem and Aqara hub devices like M2 Hub, or maybe perhaps you have the really nice camera with face recognition and the hub inside, those devices are not going to become obsolete. Aqara actually played it smart, and it utilizes previous devices, previous Aqara hubs, to expand your network and work together with the latest M3 Hub, which is going to be acting as a leader of the pack. So you don't have to discount previous devices in order to upgrade to Aqara M3. So what is Aqara M3 and what kind of features you can get? Obviously, the title of this video mentions that this hub can do a lot, including Matter. And Matter and Thread support, those are alongside of some of the protocols that this supports. Apart from that, we have a Zigbee hub integrated in it, we have a Bluetooth hub integrated in it, we have an infrared blaster integrated in it, and there is a speaker, PoE support, Ethernet port, and just pretty much everything. Like, there is no Z-Wave, I think. Anyone uses Z-Wave nowadays? And while I appreciate this, it highlights the problem in the current smart home world, in which the list of protocols becomes as long as the list of ecosystem used to be. So that's what we're dealing with now. The hub itself is pretty well made. You have one physical button that you're going to use to do all your pairing stuff. It has an Ethernet port hidden inside alongside a USB Type-C. That Ethernet port supports PoE, so if you have compatible switch, you will be able to power it with a single cable. Now, another thing that is nice, it comes with this mounting bracket that you can deploy on your wall and ceiling or wherever, and hide or mount the hub better for your convenience. The only thing that kind of annoys my OCD is the fact that when you want to use the cable, the Ethernet cable, and use the routing provided for the cable, the Aqara logo is upside down if the cable is facing down. That's just me. But that logo is barely visible, so I don't think it's going to bother me that much. I thought I'm going to mention that. Unfortunately, unlike the previous hubs I've played from Aqara, it doesn't really come with anything else special. I mean, G3H had facial recognition and the camera and other features that were pretty cool and still supplied Zigbee hub. But this one is as hubby as it goes. I mean, it does have a speaker and you can upload custom ringtones to it. So I guess that's a bonus, but you could already do that on the G3H. Another thing that we probably want to discuss is the pricing of this hub. Now, they are selling it for $129 right now on release. And you can get yourself for $20 less between 8th of May and 12th of May if you pull the trigger quickly. I'm going to list the code in the description of this video so you could lower the price. But I have to say this is one of the most expensive hubs I actually played with. And apart from feeling quite solid, it's going to be very hard for people to justify that spend unless you're really keen on future-proofing your smart home. You've got a Aqara system, you want to make sure that you are covered no matter what protocol your future device is going to use. I recently bought a 5-port PoE switch, so I promptly hooked it up to that to test the PoE capabilities, and the setup was very simple. I simply opened the app, and within a couple of seconds I already had this paired and set it up in my network. And just as Aqara promised on their website, this hub will talk to all the Aqara devices in home and promptly created a small mesh network within existing Aqara hubs in my home. I had the M2 and I had the G3H, which I linked to my ceiling light, which was a fun video. If you're interested in a fun Aqara ceiling light with a secondary lighting, look at the corner there. Looking at the options within the Aqara ecosystem and the M3 Hub, I found a couple of extra options. First of all, there was access to set up your AC unit. Now, if your unit is on the list of compatible devices, the list was quite long. However, I wasn't able to find my boiler. I don't know how they support boilers, and they mentioned it as an AC. I might be completely out of place. So I was not able to use it. However, what you will be able to use it is the infrared blaster. So if you've got any infrared remotes in the same room and you want to offload that task to this, you'll be able to either pre-select from existing devices or record the buttons and create a virtual remote they can activate, whether it's a voice command through a Matter connected speaker or through a button from the Aqara ecosystem. And since I'm touching on the Matter integration, the first thing that I did was to pair my thread compatible sensors. And the setup process was very, very easy. Note that these are very early units, and I had a problem with the P2 sensor, the motion sensor, which have a small QR code at the back, but this is not the code I was able to use. I had to go and get the one from the manual. So if you have a problem adding your motion sensor P2 from Aqara because you use this code, try to use the QR code from the manual instead. In the video about this, I've mentioned that the motion sensor, despite being equipped with a brightness sensor, only was exposing to Matter information about the presence in front of the PRR, and that luminosity wasn't available. Now, once I linked it up with a Aqara Hub M3, I got that luminosity information and I was able to access that information and use it in my automation. And with the contact sensor, since there was no extra features, it was still reporting as the regular contact sensor. That's it. Now for the kicks, I also took the P1 version of the motion sensor and added it via Zigbee to Aqara M3 Hub just to check if everything is working all right, and I had absolutely no problems with it. So yeah, this hub will be able to work with Thread and Zigbee at the same time without any conflicts that I noticed. So other than that, I was happy with the sensor's latency and responsiveness. So let's talk about the Matter. Now, this is a Matter hub and it supports Thread, which means you can take any Thread devices and integrate with this, at least in theory. Now, when it comes to Matter support, the compatible part gets me annoyed. It's not Aqara's fault, don't get me wrong, because a lot of other manufacturers approach Matter the same way. Basically, what they do, they expose their hubs and their ecosystems via Matter to anything else. It means that everything that is connected to this hub will be exposed via Matter to whatever you're going to connect it to. But you still have to have a Matter device like Google Home or Amazon Echo device that supports Matter and will bring everything together. And while I'm complaining, let's talk a little bit more about the P2 thread sensor, the PRR sensor, which I'm slightly disappointed with, because you remember the P1? The P1 got a glowing review from me because you could set the timeout to 1 second, and that was quite impressive. This is the fastest Zigbee PRR sensor that I know of. So if you're looking for something with a great timeout setting, yeah, that's P1 sensor for you. And I was kind of hoping that the same would be exposed in the Thread, the P2 version of the sensor. However, this is not the case, and after linking that to Aqara app, I discovered there is no settings for timeout whatsoever, so the P2 version of that sensor is set to 1 minute timeout and you cannot modify it. Aqara M3 Hub is a pretty well made device. It supports a long list of different protocols that you can utilize and kind of future-proof your Aqara setup at home. It is expensive. It might be an upgrade for you, especially that it doesn't render your previous hubs obsolete and it work in tandem with them, which you will benefit from, but you are expected to pay $129 for it, and that price for a hub that essentially does the hubbing and infrared blasting might be prohibitive for some. But if you want to jump on Matter and thread early and future-proof your house, and you already have Aqara devices at home, then head to the description of this video. You're going to find the link to the Aqara Hub and a small discount code that you can apply to your Amazon stores to bring the price a little bit down, but just bear in mind that promotion is quite short. Okay guys, let me know your thoughts. I have more Aqara devices at home right now and I'm testing. I'm not allowed to talk about it just yet, but soon enough you're gonna have another Aqara smart device in the ecosystem tested by me. So if you're looking forward to that, well, you know how YouTube works, I don't have to teach you that. But if you want to ask me any questions, social media listed down below is the best way to reach out to me. Follow me there and start a conversation. Big thanks to Aqara for sending me this so I could test it early and tell you all about it. And big thanks to you for watching my channel. As for now, bye.